Good afternoon and welcome to Programmers Paradise's Plan for Successful Team Development webinar. Hopefully you can hear us over your computer speakers. If you can't, then we're going to be sending an email, a chat message to explain to you how to access the teleconference call. Today we're going to go over an agenda of, first of all, introducing who Programmers Paradise is, and then we'll go into our main session, which is the second of two series in terms of introducing team development. Today we're going to talk about planning for team development success. That should take about 30 minutes, and after that we'll have a session where we'll be open for questions and answers, and then we'll summarize. Following the event, there'll be a post-event survey, and we hope that you will participate in the survey, and later on we'll explain there's a drawing which I think you'll enjoy. Programmers Paradise is a leading e-seller of developer and infrastructure tools. You can find us on the web at programmers.com, and there you'll find information about our software ecosystem of lifecycle management tools. We're a Microsoft reseller, reselling Visual Studio, the Server Suite, the Office Suite. We have expertise in the Open License 6.0, and we also you can also ask us about our flexible payment options. We also provide a portfolio of team development services to help you assess, deploy, and migrate your development activities to team development. I mentioned our application lifecycle management software ecosystem. That's a set of best-of-breed leading tools that help address your end-to-end development needs. You can go to our website and browse any of those tools to help you from definition all the way through management of your software applications. Now I'm going to introduce you to Jane Mao, one of our senior application lifecycle management consultants who specializes in team development, and Jane will take it from here and will take you through the rest of the webinar. Over to you, Jane.
Welcome everyone to the second part of our webinar series of VSTS. In the first part of the webinar, we gave a high-level overview of Visual Studio Team System and showed you how it can be used to facilitate team collaboration, increase project transparency with real-time reporting, and improve software quality by integrating development processes with the tools that you use on a daily basis. And compared with Visual Studio, the breakthrough of VSTS is that not only does it provide a suite of tailored tools for different team roles, it also contains a team foundation server that integrates the various aspects of the development process, including project management, source control, automated build, and work item tracking. So if you're looking for an effective solution to manage your application lifecycle as a whole, then VSTS is most definitely a product to seriously consider. On the other hand, because it impacts all of the stakeholders involved in the development lifecycle, and it does require a sizable investment, it must be carefully evaluated and planned for adoption in your organization. And this is what we will be talking about today. So we will be going over the typical decision points that you will be going through when evaluating VSTS and planning for its implementation. For example, is it a good fit for your organization? And if so, how do you get started, and which components of VSTS should you adopt first? And what do you need to consider when planning for deployment? We will also discuss areas that should be considered to fully realize the benefits of VSTS in your environment. And these include selecting the right process template for your project and customizing it for your specific project needs. We will also look at how you can migrate existing tools and data to VSTS and the type of trainings that are available for your team. So while we won't be able to get into the technical details on these topics in the half hour, but hopefully by the end of the session, you will be able to get a better understanding of the undertaking that's required to plan for a successful adoption and deployment of VSTS. So for those who are intrigued by what VSTS has to offer, the first question that comes up a lot is VSTS right for my team? And the best way to answer this question is to investigate the technology and perform an assessment on your organization to understand its business needs and current state of development. Now, Microsoft has a lot of team system information on its website, including white papers, case studies, and how-to documents. The VSTS Development Center also includes specific sections for the distinct roles addressed by VSTS, along with the evaluation version of the software. Now, something that you might not be aware of is that there are also virtual machines available for download that already have VSTS 2008 products installed. And this is really helpful for evaluation because it allows you to bypass all of the setup and configuration details, which can get quite complicated. So have a look at VSTS and investigate what it is all about, then spend some time with all of your stakeholders to assess your organization's specific needs and objectives. Does VSTS fit into your current development environment or technology roadmap? What are the existing processes and tools in place that you might be looking to replace or enhance? What has been working well for you, and what are the weak areas that you need to work most to help improve your project outcome? And it is common that not all features supported by VSTS are urgently needed by your teams or projects. And the assessment will help you determine the definite and possible benefits that you can obtain by adopting VSTS. So for example, if you're a small team trying to decide whether VSTS may be a good fit for you, then here are some of the questions that you should be asking yourself. Do the team members serve in specific roles, or do they often switch between roles? Does the team work on large projects with a large source code base? And do you support multiple tailored release of a product? And do you have existing bug tracking and project management tools to track work items and do project reporting? If not, is there a need for you to have one? And also, do you have a process in place that you follow through development? And is your project team distributed? Or in other words, could the team benefit from the collaboration features of VSTS? So answers to these questions will help you understand how closely your needs match the benefits. And if your answer to one or more questions is yes, then the team is a potential candidate for VSTS. And if your answer to all of the questions is no, then that team may not need VSTS right now. But keep in mind that projects do tend to grow. So when your projects start out small, the features in VSTS seems to be an overkill for you. But when the project evolves over time and gets picked up for a wider release due to customer demand, then the team is often faced with lack of source control and project management, and also insufficient reporting and build capabilities. And in such cases, adding VSTS might just be the solution for you. So once you have made the decision to adopt VSTS, the next big question is where and how do I start? The VSTS is a solution that integrates a broad spectrum of tools, including the Microsoft Office suite, the Visual Studio Team suite, and Windows SharePoint services. You can also integrate it with third-party tools and add your own extension. So all of these tools are integrated with Team Foundation Server, which provides a shared data source and a collection of collaborative technologies, including project management, work item tracking, reporting, and team build. So how do you integrate these technologies to your development environment and migrate existing tools and data as part of the transition? Well, the good news is that you don't have to make the transition all at once. If you're planning for your adoption in phases, it is best to start with those features that have the minimum impact on existing environment and maximum values to all of your stakeholders. And the assessment that was done previously should give you a good idea on the components that you should be adopting first. So if your team has a good source control management system but lacks in task or bug tracking capabilities for project reporting, then you can start by adopting the work item tracking components first to meet the auditing and traceability needs. The Team Foundation Server maintains a database of all of the work items which can be queried from within any of the Visual Studio clients. And because there is a two-way integration between Team Foundation Server and the Microsoft Office suite, you can easily get query results directly into Microsoft Project and Excel for bug analysis or perhaps for project planning. You can also generate reports against any work items using predefined report templates from TFS. So with the work item tracking capabilities alone, you can save valuable time and development resources by reducing the amount of manual effort required on status tracking for various types of work items that are maintained in separate tools in your current environment. And one example of an early adopter company consists of only 3 people in the development team, but they adopted the full team system suite and the client software mainly to take advantage of the work item tracking and reporting features. The automated reporting tools made it possible for them to provide their customers with a complete history of code changes and completed tests as a part of their QA process. So for teams who are required to support multiple releases of a software product, then build generation may take a lot of time of your current development resources. And if this is the case, then you can choose to adopt the team build tool to help you handle releases with automation. VSTS has a very sophisticated build and release management toolset that greatly simplifies the process of building specific software versions. The Team Foundation build tool also works with other VSTS features during the build process, including version control, work item tracking, and testing tools. So with the team build, you can synchronize the sources, compile the application, run associated unit tests, perform code analysis, release a build on a file server, and publish build reports. And the build reports provide a view into the execution of the build by listing the overall build status, including detailed steps that's executed in the build, the work items that's resolved, code changes, and a summary of the test execution. And all of the build results data are propagated to the warehouse for historical reporting. And another cool feature is the ability to run a desktop build, which takes the build script that describes the Team Foundation server, team build, and runs it on your local machine instead of through the TFS build server. So if your team is lacking on the capabilities for builds, then team build is definitely something that you can take advantage first in your deployment. And if your organization maintains a large source code base and you need a better way to monitor code quality, then a major benefit may be adopting the source control in VSTS. You can add check-in notes and validate your code against check-in policies. And by integrating work item tracking with source control capabilities, new code can be associated at check-in time to a work item, and any modifications of existing code is already automatically linked. And reporting tools would also use these links to provide detailed reports, such as showing all change modules tied to a specific work item, such as a bug. And lastly, collaboration is something that many small teams don't often think about because the entire team is usually in the same office. But if you have a distributed team, then collaboration becomes critical and is a feature that you need to look into first. The VSTS project portal lets team members view all of the project information, including the process guidance, work item assignments, and any team system reports directly from a standard web browser. And you can also access the information through events. So for example, you can hook up the event system to an RSS feed so that your team members can easily view events such as code check-in, build, and test results in their news readers. So even for team members in close distance, these collaboration features, such as having the ability to receive such notifications and have a record of these events, can provide significant benefits. So overall, there are many ways to adopt VSTS into your environment, and based on your organization's specific needs, you can adopt just the team build tool or just the work item tracking, then adding in process guidance, then adding in version control, and slowly increase your usage of other VSTS functionalities. The key is to identify and implement features of VSTS that can add immediate values to the development environment. So aside from the Team Foundation server adoption, you will also need to consider the client editions to require. There are currently 5 team editions for architects, developers, testers, database professionals, as well as Team Explorer clients for project managers and team members who are not using any development tools. So there are some feature overlap among these client editions, as you can see from this diagram. So you can decide on the type of licenses based on the number of features that you're planning to use. And because the pricing structure can be quite complicated, so it is recommended that you consult with a pricing specialist to maximize your investment. So once you're clear on what you want in every phase of your VSTS adoption, you should plan out the scope of your deployment and consider anything that you might require in the future for maintaining and expanding upon your Team Foundation server. To assist you in these decisions, Microsoft has made detailed documentations available on the TFS Development Center website. And these documentations include guidance on creating server planning roadmaps and checklists, as well as offering informative walkthroughs. So in order to choose a development strategy that will fit into your existing environment, you need to first understand the underlying architecture and then decide how you want to deploy the server. And when making this decision, you should consider a number of factors, including the network topology and geographical location of the server relative to the team, the size and makeup of the team, and the type of projects that will be making use of the team server. You should also look at the duration of your typical development lifecycle, whether it's in terms of months or years, and also look into the advantages and limitations of various types of server deployment. So for example, the performance and software limitations issues for single server versus dual server deployment. And after that, you should also create a comprehensive maintenance plan that will include a full backup storage strategy based on your organizational needs. Again, there are many factors to consider when creating such a maintenance plan, such as what needs to be backed up, what should backup be scheduled, and how and where will backup be stored. And when considering the scope of backup, you also need to be aware that although databases are the major components to restore, you must also consider restorations of not only the data, but also the Team Foundation server services, or the application tier services that uses these data. So once the plan is formulated, you should test out the integrity by doing trial restorations before starting a real project, just so that you can make sure that any data that you do start using or putting into VSTS will not be lost. So having the tools installed in your environment is the first step of your deployment. And for those who have already implemented VSTS, your ongoing challenge is adopting the tools effectively so that you can realize its full benefits. And VSTS provides many great features out of the box, but to truly take advantage of its power, you want to customize it to better fit it into your development environment. And there are many ways you can customize your project experience in Visual Studio Team System. The most common place to start is Process Template, because it defines key aspects of a team project, such as the type of work items tracked in the project, the process guidance and document templates that you can make available on the project portal, the version control settings, default reports, and much more. So in other words, Process Template is the blueprint on how the project will be enacted in your new environment. So as part of your VSTS deployment planning, it is important for you to determine which process templates to use for your project. Now, you may be aware that there are two VSTS process templates provided out of the box for MSF methodologies, and there are additional templates created by Microsoft partners for other development methodologies, such as Scrum, RUP, and etc. They're either free for download or available for purchase. So before you start a project, it is best if you can review the process to be followed by the team and define the process requirements for your organization. Can you follow the process that are shipped straight out of the box? And if not, what do you need to remove or expand on a template definition so that it would better serve the process that your team uses or the way that you communicate? And our experience shows that most organizations will need some form of tailoring on process templates before they can be applied to their projects. And if you do want to customize your process templates, then the easiest way to do so is to take an existing template and make your modifications to it. However, if you have an in-house development process to follow, then it might be best to create your own process templates rather than force-fitting it with other templates. And remember that one process does not fit all projects. Even the same process templates can be further tailored based on the specific project needs in each stage of your VSTS adoption. So for example, when you're just starting out with VSTS, it might be helpful to simplify it. Perhaps you can limit the work item types to bugs only to ease the transition before considering to use other work item types that's in the template, such as requirements or tasks. And you can also add your custom queries to find work items that match your specific criteria. And when you have custom work item types defined to replace your existing tools, then you can also tailor the work item forms to create custom field definitions. And by doing so, you can customize the user experience for the team when they enter bugs or updating tasks, just as how they would normally be doing with your existing bug tracking or task tracking tools. So Project Portal is another area for customization. The process guidance made available on the portal documents the roles, the work items, work products, activities, and reports for a specific process. And the process guidance complements the process template by telling you how the process should be followed. And it also provides details on a team project, such as how to complete work item fields, and giving you examples of healthy and unhealthy reports, and give you descriptions on the queries that's available. So as the process templates are customized, the corresponding process guidance should also be updated to address any of these changes that were made. And you can also customize the look and feel and layout of the project portal and decide on the folder structures and the document templates and files that will be stored on the portal. The source control setting defines the team project's initial security permissions and check-in notes. So you can customize version control security permissions and decide whether multiple people can check out a file at the same time or not. You can also define your own check-in policies that need to be complied whenever a piece of code is checked in. So there are other parts of the template that you can customize, such as reports and groups of permissions, but these are typically considered at later stages of adoption because TFS, the default templates, already contains pretty good reports that are probably sufficient for you in the first phase of your adoption. So as you can see, process template customization is an area where you can really take advantage of your incremental tool adoption. So if it's properly customized, it can make your transition to VSTS a lot smoother. So while planning your deployment, you should also consider migrating your existing tools and assets to VSTS. So source control and work item migration is one of the biggest challenges when planning for your VSTS deployment. And depending on the applications and the amount of data to be migrated, the process can take days to weeks. There are already out-of-box utilities that can help you migrate your source code files and work items to Team Foundation. And you can also get professional services to help you create utilities that will migrate your custom tools or assets to Team Foundation server. So Microsoft provides free tools to help you automate the migration process from Visual Source Safe and Rational ClearQuest to Team Foundation server. With source control, the migration process is time-consuming because you're migrating possibly years of source control data. The Visual Source Safe converter provides migration options that can minimize the time to migrate by either reducing the migration time or enabling your team to work on source code during the migration. So before you perform the migration, you should evaluate which of the migration options will work best for your team. And there are a number of options. For example, you can do project-by-project migration, which allows you to migrate the source of one team or project at a time, and typically that's one folder in Visual Source Save. And this ensures that other teams are not blocked during migration. However, if two teams have dependencies between their sources, then you should migrate the sources of both teams, that is, the project folders altogether. And you can also do incremental migration, which migrates your source, the VSS database in phases. And this ensures that user can continue to use VSS while migration is in progress. And you can also use archive features of VSS to migrate partial history. And this option would be great if you're not interested in migrating old history. So by using the feature, you can remove the version history of files and folders before a specific date. And in that case, any current, the history of the current files will still be untouched. So aside from Visual Source Save, Microsoft also offers tools to migrate work item migration converters. So there's the tool for Rational Clear Case, which can help you automate the migration process of work items. So what the tool does is that it reads the work item from ClearQuest and writes the data into Team Foundation using the VSTS work item tracking web services. And it will also migrate attachments, links, and duplicate work item information. So during the migration process or before you do so, you can plan out how you want the data to be mapped from ClearQuest to Team Foundation, which includes changing the field values and how users should be mapped. You can specify the settings for the converter by editing the XML files that control how the data is migrated. So aside from out-of-the-box migration, there are also third-party solutions to help you migrate source control and other work item systems, such as CVS and SCN to Team Foundation server. But the general feedback that we get from the VSTS community is that these solutions still have a lot of problems. So if you have these systems and you want to migrate from the source control or any other work item tools such as Bugzilla, any defect tracking systems, help desk systems, project management system, then the best way or the most efficient way to do that is to get professional help to create custom solutions and migrate the data from your existing system into VSTS. So when you get professional services to help you develop such a utility, there are two parts to this migration process. The first part is doing schema migration. And this is where the utility would read in the database schema from your work item tracking system and generates equivalent representations in VSTS. And by schema, we mean things like fields representing a particular work item type, the data type of those fields, the workflows, which means the different states that a work item can transition to, and a set of allowed transitions. It'll also include a set of allowed values for fields that the user can define in the work item. So the second part of the migration process is the data part. So once the schema migration is done, then you can start migrating the individual work items from your existing tracking system to VSTS. And this data migration includes migrating the current view of work items, the history whenever it's possible, any links and attachments, so that after the migration, you can get complete data in VSTS. So having the tools and process and data deployed allows you to start a project in VSTS. But that all works only if the team can use the tools effectively. And that's the catch. When a tool is as powerful as VSTS, there's naturally a lot to learn here, and it can be daunting to learn it all. So you do need to provide proper training and coaching to introduce the team to the new tool. And there are a lot of free resources online to assist you should you choose to learn VSTS on your own. So on the MSDN website that I have listed here, you can access a comprehensive network of resources ranging from the introductory to intermediate to advanced and then expert level. So these include both online and self-paced training, the latest technical articles, any short videos, evaluation downloads, and webcasts from Visual Studio Team System experts. So there's also a VSTS basic training course, which is classified as a level 200 training, and this is a complete self-paced training course with a virtual PC image containing team system software for you to practice hands-on labs. And you can download it for free at this link, but beware that the file is pretty large. I think it's about a few gigs because of the virtual machine. So there's also a 300 training course available, what they call a deep dive, VSTS deep dive training. So this is really designed for a classroom setting with a qualified instructor, but you can access to these materials as well through registration on Microsoft Connect first. So there are plenty of resources available, but if you do want to save some time, or if you prefer to take a structured approach, then you can participate in paid courses, or you can have the instructors come on site to provide training to the team. There are many training organizations and consulting services that offer VSTS training courses, typically ranging from 3 to 5 days and costing anywhere between $2,500 to $3,000 range, so averaging to about $600 a day. But whether you follow a self-training yourself or have a paid course, it is important to get all of your teams on board so you can benefit the experience as a team. And there is a lot that can be learned from just doing a pilot project. You can modify your deployment plan based on your project experience. For example, you can evaluate the server performance given by the number of people participating in the project and decide if you want to upgrade it. And you can also make changes to your process before rolling out to all of the development team and all of your projects. So overall, deciding if and how to move your team to VSTS is not a trivial effort. But by having a careful evaluation and thorough planning, you can realize all of the benefits promised by the team system. And whether you're trying to adopt the tool by yourself or getting professional services to help you plan for your deployment, we recommend you to follow all of these steps in your adoption process. And this includes conducting an assessment on your business needs and your development environment, and follow the recommendations to adopt features by phases that will maximize your return and minimize interruptions to your business. And then you can create a detailed plan to deploy the process and tools, make any customizations as necessary to ease the transition, and then finally plan your migration from existing tools and gradually migrating your data and assets from existing tools to VSTS. And last but not leastly, you should also provide proper training and mentoring to the team. So that concludes my presentation today, and we can now start getting into any questions and answers that you might be having.
Thanks very much, Jane. And now we're open to questions for Jane, so you can send your questions in either through the Q&A panel, the chat panel, or if you are dialed into the teleconference, you can raise your electronic hand and we'll be able to recognize you and unmute your phone. So please, any questions for Jane? Jane, we have a question from Lynn Hemsteger. Do you have any links for the Scrum process templates?
Yes, we do, and it's actually on the MSDN website. I can send it to you afterwards. It's a free process template, so you should be able to also find it online. Just type VSTS Scrum process template in Google, but if you can't find it, send an email to me and I can forward the link to you.
Okay, Lynn, so if you would like to send an email to team.alm@programmers.com, then Jane will be able to send you that link. Okay, we have a question from Randy Quaid. What is the solution to share a .cs file across projects like you can do in Visual Source Safe?
to repeat the questions again, but let's see. I am not reading from the chat.
The question is, what is the solution to share a .cs file across projects like you can do in Visual Source Safe? So how do you share a .cs file?
You can share any file in the project portal that's created once you have a VSTS project, all of the documents, templates, and any files will be saved in the SharePoint services, which is used to create the project portal.
Okay, Randy. Hope that answers your question. The next question is from Larry Hack. Can you go over the VS Pro version, how the VS Pro version will fit into VSTF? How do the CALs work with these two products? Okay,
so this is a bit complicated, but I'll try to explain it here. So when you have VS Pro 2008, you will pay for the license and then pay the CALs per developer. And with Visual Studio Team System, you need a license for the server and the license for the team editions. And once you have that, you also pay CAL. Now, if you want to just deploy the Team Foundation server, but for some reason that you choose to use VS Pro instead of buying the Team Suite licenses, then what you need to do is to pay the CAL for the VS Pro so that they can be integrated with the Team Foundation server. So the CAL for, let's see, let me just look it up here. The CAL for the CAL for a client would be around $500.
Okay. I have a couple of attendees have asked whether the slides will be available, and yes, we can make the slides available. Please just send an email to team.alm@programmers.com, and we'll be happy to share them with you. I have a question here from Octavio Rivera. Can Visual Studio 2003 work with Team Foundation Server?
I think you need at least 2005, but I'm not aware of people using using 2003 with TFS, but I think you should be able to do it with using 2005 and up.
Okay. If you have any questions regarding which Microsoft products work with which versions, our specialists will be able to help you. So again, just contact us at the telephone number I'll give at the end of the webinar or that email. We have a question from Elijah Peters. His question is, do I need a VSTS license for each team in order to use VSTS in a team environment?
For each team, I would say that you need one client edition, and then what you do is just to pay CAL for every members of the team. So depending on your team, the makeup of your team, if you have developers and testers, then you will likely need a developer license and tester license, and then from there on, each license will already include a CAL. And for any additional developers or testers, you can just add CALs. Does that answer the question?
Elijah, just if you need to clarify that question, just send us a chat. While we're doing that, there's a question from Chris Hop. Is there a way to import an existing GIT project source tree?
The GIT source tree?
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any, but what we can do is to go on, so Microsoft has a website where there is a list of all the applications that people want to see conversion tools to migrate source controls or work item tracking, so I can definitely look it up or have one of the professional service team members to look it up for you to see if there is any existing. As far as I know, I haven't seen anything on that, but if you have the need for that, then this is definitely something that needs to be custom created if there isn't already a solution available.
Okay. Are there any other questions? I think that looks like our queue of questions has been completed. Any other questions for Jane? Okay. If not, then I'd like to close the webinar. This webinar will be, oh, Lynn, we just have another question. Can you import PVCS tracker into work items?
I will have to look at the PVC application. I'm not familiar with it, but if it's a work item track system, then chances are yes, you can do it. Because generally speaking, work item tracking system is a lot easier to migrate compared to source control. So it's just it would be a matter of taking the steps that I mentioned, which is looking at the schema migration and then migrate the data. So
okay.
Please send an email on that if you want more information, and we can definitely look into it for you.
Okay. We also have another question from Larry. Can you, this is from Larry Hack, can you also import SVN repository to VSTS foundation system?
Yes, there's already tools out there that can do that, but it would still be a good idea for somebody to help you look into it, because as far as I know, there's still a little bit of problem with it. It is better than the CVS to TFS conversion tool, but just to make sure that all of your data are not like there won't be any data loss during the transition, you should have somebody to look into it for you, somebody who's more familiar with it.
Okay. Thanks very much, Jane. A number of people have asked about recordings as well as recordings of this webinar. Yes, this session is being recorded and will be available later this afternoon on our WebEx site. So you'll be able to listen to this session and also the first session in the series. Just go to programmers.com/ALM services and you'll see a webinar series button, and just click on that and you'll be able to access the recordings. So I'd like to thank you today. If you'd like more information on Visual Studio Team System or on our services, please be sure to contact us. We can talk to you about software licensing not only for Visual Studio, but also for Microsoft's other products, MSDN, SQL Server, and Office. And we have a range of assessment, deployment, and migration services that are available to help you implement team development. We are offering today a special on our team development assessment service. So for attendees of this webinar through the end of June, you can save 50% off our team development assessment service. So if you have any questions about team development, then please send them to team.alm@programmers.com. And I just mentioned the webinar recordings are going to be available. So I'd like to thank you today for attending this session. And following this session, once you log out, you'll have the opportunity to complete our post-event survey. We'd really appreciate you doing that. And we'll have a drawing for one of 20 Visual Studio Team System books. So a great book to help you figure out even more about VSTS. So thank you, and I thank you for attending and hope that this has been a useful, practical webinar for you. Thank you very much, and good afternoon.